greatest ever done it. You can learn from it. Dope game ran it, rap game run it, street cred hunted. Nerd turned D-boy, not in genetic makeup. Baby, I'm a G-boy, hashtag street boy. Wrong one to fuck with. Cross me at your own risk, play to get back, you can trust this. I am far from average, to me it ain't no such thing. Me against the world, so fuck it, I let my nuts hang. I've been known to bust bang, kill it if the need be. I don't need an army when the smoke clears, he sees me. Rhyming at his finest, unlike those vaginas that claim that they the real deal, knowing I'm the highest. Top of the command chain, I am what the streets made, I am what the hood built. You are just a weak lame, homicidal maniac with suicidal tendencies. You're more like a punk band, I'm more like a pedigree of nigga you ain't seen yet, so y'all cannot describe me. I'm a freak of nature, don't shit here surprise me. Money over everything except the nigga's manhood. I am not a prostitute, you don't understand hood. Fuck a nigga getting his, unless he about to give me mine. Otherwise he prime beat, shocking when I up the 9 and hit it with it 7 times. Fuck you thought I'm civilized? Welcome to the jungle, fool. It's only right I punish you. Nigga with an attitude, feel like MC Ren felt. Quiet on the set, you funky bitch, you get your friends slipped. I give your game a black eye, blame it on the black guy. I be on some nigga shit, I'm niggerish, so that's why. Guess what my religion is? This is what the business is. Exposure for you garbage ass rappers. You can witness this. Came to bang your game up. Pussies think they came up. Oh, you got a drop head? So now you think you famous? I hear it's dangerous and we don't know your name, cuz we don't even give a fuck. Rappers get it fucked up. Security say you nah, this they side job. They don't want no conflict, they don't want no problems, nah.
Salute, and welcome. Welcome back to the Black Ocean and Now Swimming in the Deep End with your host, the one and only Great Black Shark. Yes, family, I told you that if Jump Off Jaxn ever decided to come out and give his half for what went on with him and his dysfunctional wife, because both of them are very dysfunctional, I told you I would cover it just as I went through her interview. I'm going to do the same with his, because here's the reason why this is important. I appreciate it when people like Jump Off Jaxn and his wife, or soon to be ex-wife, but they still haven't gotten a divorce yet as far as I know. I appreciate it when they come out and speak and be honest on platforms like this. This is another interview that was done on the same podcast that she was on, the Dear Future Wifey Podcast, hosted by the brother on your screen, Latarius R. Whitfield. I'll give him credit. He does a very good job of asking certain questions and allowing them to answer in their own manner without cutting them off or putting words in their mouth. So tonight, we're going to analyze this from the perspective of showing our women, okay, because that's the only ones I'm concerned about, showing our women what to watch out for with guys like a Derrick Jaxn, okay? Guys that got all the looks that you like, fast talker, saying all the right things, okay? He's actually doing you a favor by coming out and admitting what a dirtbag you were, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing here tonight, okay? So with that said, let me greet everybody that I see so far. Hold on. I can see the chat room here. All right, scroll up. I see Patricia Jenkins in the house. Artist Doucette, V. Mosby, I see you, sister. I see Jay Bird, what's going on? Nightfall Drop, Patricia. Okay, I already saw you, Patricia Jenkins, okay. A Goddess Navi in the house, Nightfall dropping here, King Hazy, Jesse Parrish, Shay and Kruma, Tori Ellis, Sister Only Pamela's Way. Salute and welcome to you and everyone that'll be joining us in attendance here tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started because it's a lot to cover. I'm going to try not to keep you all too long, but this was too important to ignore. So without further ado, we're going to let old Jump Off Jaxn, as I call him. Y'all know that name going to forever stick. I'm going to call him what he is. Dirtbag Supreme, and along with any other women that supported him doing what he did to his wife. Yes, I'm going to say it again, and I stand on it until I'm gone, okay? Just want to go ahead and get out of the way, go ahead and make everybody mad that pisses off. That's right, I'm still standing on it. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll be stopping to break this down as need be.
Derrick Jaxn.
What's going on, brother?
Derrick, listen, man, people been saying, when are you going to come on the podcast?
When I'm going to come on any podcast up until recently.
So what made you decide to go do it?
I'm not really big on coming and doing interviews and talking about myself, but this one is a little bit different because it involves, things that kind of hit closer to home. So I felt like I could contribute something to the conversation. If it's going to be had, I think it's best if it's had with both sides of a story, and one day whenever my children do see mommy and daddy talking about this, I want them to see where we both stand and hopefully how we both resolve things. So that was it, man.
You say mommy and daddy, so your ex-wife or current wife, I know y'all going through whatever y'all going through, Danae was on the podcast. A lot of times people, when I did the episode, I was laughing a lot on the episode. She has this funny wit. She has this I said this little Seinfeld humor.
Yeah.
Was that something that attracted you to her at the very beginning?
Yeah, she had a sense of humor since the beginning, man. You wouldn't think it because she's kind of an introvert.
Right.
So she doesn't feel comfortable talking to new people often, at least she didn't. Or in big groups, but like once she gets comfortable or when she feels like she can trust you, she opens up, man, and she's hilarious.
and so that's what happened in my pre-interview with her. I was talking to her. I was like, this girl is hilarious. This girl is funny. So we did on the episode, a lot of people's like, they're talking about serious stuff and they're laughing about it. Why are they? And she was like, Latarius, if you weren't laughing, I wouldn't have been able to do 2.5 hours of an interview with you. It'd have been too heavy. I like the fact that you got my humor. And I said, I bet you that's something that Derrick found attractive in her at the very beginning.
Among other things, man, for sure.
We say other things like what?
Man, first off, when I first saw her, all I knew is what she looked like. You know? So pretty face, nice shape, all that stuff. But I like that she was kind of like me in terms of like when you look at her, she's not the stereotypical thick, cute black girl, at least, this at 19 years old.
Right.
And when people looked at me, they felt like, oh, he's a jock. And, I think you said that in the interview, matter of fact, which is not bad. But, at the time I was fighting a lot and stuff like that. But
You said you were fighting a lot.
yeah, man, I was just, knucklehead, man. It's 19 years old. But beyond the surface, though, I'm a lover. I'm kind of soft. I like R&B music. I read romance novels at this point. I write poetry.
You was doing that at 19?
19 years old, man. So like that version of me that's like, okay, it's not what you see is not necessarily what you get. It's the exact same thing with her. She's not stereotypical. She's like Taekwondo and, Justin Timberlake and stuff you wouldn't necessarily think, man. But all of that is what drew me to her. It's like my authentic self just felt safe and at home with her.
How do you feel today? I want to check on you as a man. How do you feel as a man?
I feel really good, man. Better every day, but I feel like it's a lot of gratitude these days.
A lot of people wouldn't be able to identify with what you may go through on an emotional standpoint, especially have created a platform as large as you created, and then feel the world turn on you. How did you internalize that?
Honestly, man, being everybody's favorite ain't really been my portion my whole career. I mean, at some point, now it's more legitimate because it's behind something I actually did. But in the very beginning, I knew pissing some people, I'm trying to talk crazy. Pissing some people off was going to be a price I was going to have to pay.
You knew that at the very beginning?
Very beginning. And then, before all of this, there was some like false rumors. At one point, people thought Danae was white. Because I showed a picture briefly. I posted my baby girl, my first daughter, Marley, and her hand was wrapped around my finger, and it was so light-skinned. They said, oh, he only dates white women. And I lost followers. I'm talking about it was going viral, all the YouTubers. So honestly, man, since then, I already knew, like, okay, people online, they're going to have their thoughts or what have you, and you can't see yourself through that lens. So I really haven't internalized that so much.
A lot of times people...
Now, let me go ahead and stop it right here, because one of the things I want the sisters primarily to pay attention to, because I know it's going to be hard for some of you, even those of you over here, because y'all get caught up in how men look, but you don't pay attention to what's beneath the surface. What you're watching and what you're listening to here in Jump Off Jaxn is a certified pathological liar that is good with the art of confusing the gullible women because he already know he got the advantage by the way he looks, okay, to a lot of women, but he gets off on confusing a lot of the gullible women because they're like, okay, you ain't gonna see past these looks and you ain't gonna pay attention to nothing I'm saying, and your brain turn off. The same things happens for men with certain types of women. We have to get to a point as adults where our brains don't shut off when it comes to making proper discernment decisions about who we choose to give our intimate time to, especially when it comes to making the most serious decision of entering into a marriage, okay? And when kids come along. Because if you don't, you get the type of dysfunction that you see that's going on with Derrick Jaxn and his wife, or Jump Off Jaxn, as I will continue to call him. So I want you to do this as we go on and examine the rest of this here tonight, because he's going to spill the beans on a lot. And like I said, for those that got sense enough to listen, this is going to help you because we're going to break this down. But as we go along with it, I want you to pay attention to how he looks and his body language when Latirius is asking him questions. And I'm going to be pointing several things out. Let's let it continue.
I saw my brother, Willie Moore Jr., he posted a snippet of you about the interview that you were doing with him. That's when this dropped, that would have dropped 3 days ago. And I read the comments. It was like, why are you giving this brother a platform? Why would you do this? And all this type of stuff. Yeah. And first, when I read it, I was like, now if I do this interview with them, are they gonna feel the same way? I was like, no, like you said, it's a more balanced approach. I had Danae on here. It's only fair to have you on here as well, but not even on that. But even in 2020, you checked your DMs. I reached out to you before all this stuff started imploding.
One of the few.
Yeah, and I reached out to you because I always want to have conversations with Black men, because in the from your platform standpoint, the stuff that you were telling and helping Black women with was facts. It was no lies told. Yeah. What a lot of men took.
Oh, Latirius. I can't let you get away with that. No, it wasn't facts, Latirius. No, it was not. See, one thing about me, when I hear something, I'm going to call BS immediately. No, it wasn't facts, because see, if you go back and listen to most of it, Latirius, how was it facts when everything that he was talking about, he was the guy that was doing it? He should know. And see, this is not to poke fun at women or I told you so, we told you so. No, what I'm doing this tonight for is to show women that were on the Derrick Jaxn train. It's okay if some of you were, you can come on out and admit it. This is going to be an exercise to help you out. Because what I like to focus on this channel is the role often not taken by many of my other fellow content creators. I like to show you how you can become stronger and wiser from certain things that you did or thought were right in the past, okay? See, this is how we grow as people. You have to analyze your part in the situation, whether we're men or women, and learn from it, okay? Because see, if you didn't learn from anything about being misguided by charlatans like him, because Derrick Jaxn ain't the only one, he was just the most popular, then you'll repeat the same mistake over and over again. And see, one of the things that Derrick Jaxn masters, he's going to mention a little bit about that here as we get further. Ladies, my women, sisters, this may offend you, but I got to point this out because I'm doing it not to pick on you, but to help you sharpen your situation if this applies to you. The reason why you look at that black church today, because it's filled with a bunch of pork chop preachers that have mastered the art of tickling women's ears to the point that you'll open your pocketbook, and in some cases, you open your legs to them. This is why a lot of black men are not in those black churches. So see, Derrick, he just took a page from the black preacher and said, you know what? I can get their money and the same thing from them without being in a church. I'll become a church and they'll make me a false idol, because that's exactly what they did for the women that used to support them that woke up and the millions that are still supporting them, which is why I call them dirtbags. I just wanted to go ahead and make that clear. Let's let them continue.
Gripe about is that they like, oh, not only are you telling the secrets or whatever, but they kind of felt like you were pandering to black women for your benefit. What would you say about that?
Well, we kind of have this bro code, and it's got us in the chokehold. You know, and the bro code is all about having a man's side no matter what. Yeah. No matter if we wrong or what have you. And I think personally it's created a generation of...
No, Derrick. It's not a bro code, because the shit that you were doing represents you, not all black men. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that no black men cheat, but what you had going on, that's you. So don't try to hide behind, oh, well, we got the bro code. Ain't no we. And first of all, let me go ahead and piss a lot of people off. This is a Jamaican tether. He going to be what he is. A lot of people going to be pissed off about that, because we going to stop this grouping all other people's trash in with us. And yes, I will be addressing the situation with that sister that got hit with that brick. It's a lot of straightening out that needs to be done with that. So be looking out for that coming up on the channel very soon. But nah, Derrick, don't try to hide behind that bro code. Hide behind you code. You made them decisions.
Coddled men that can't take correction from anybody, no matter how soft it is or balanced it is. So when I'm saying all of this, you know, of course, there's different layers to it. Some of them think, oh, it's because he wants vagina, because he wants money or what have you. But man, I was raised by a single mother.
That's exactly what it was, Derrick. It was about the vagina and the money for you. That's exactly what it was. And listen to what he says next, because this is going to be very important. Listen to who he says he was raised by.
Around two sisters. Naturally, I lean towards the woman's point of view on things. Anything else would be disingenuous. And it's not that everything that I'm saying is necessarily right, but it's how I see things. And then if you take from that, just say, you know, your interview with Danae, you were speaking in a way that was protective as her brother, you know, empathetic. You was calling wrong. That wasn't you pandering.
Right.
You know, you like per the situation that you speaking on, this is.
Now, see, here's the problem with what he just said. He doesn't even realize it. You can't help the family situation you come up in. But when you become of age as a man and you realize what he just said out of his own mouth, I was raised by a single mother, so I tend to see things from a woman's viewpoint. Problem. There's nothing wrong with being empathetic or compassionate towards women, okay? Nothing wrong with that. That's human to do that. The problem for you to do that and remain so in an imbalanced sense as a man is you have to exist in the world as a man, not a woman. Let me tell you something right now. That's a dangerous thing when you have a man, especially on his size, walking around talking about he sees things from a woman's chaotic point of view, because oftentimes a woman's point of view on many things is chaotic. It is. As a man, it's our job to be the counterbalance to that chaos with logic, wisdom, okay, life experience. You can't have two chaotic entities together. So I'm going to show you something that a lot of people didn't point out. The reason why him and his wife had so many problems, you just heard him. He had a lot of feminine ways about him. Never mind how he looked. You heard it out his own mouth, how he said it. He sees things from a woman's point of view, hence all that damn pandering. And we both know, all of us know, that you don't help somebody by pandering to them. You help them by telling them the truth so that they can advance and make corrections as need be. That's for men or women. So yeah, I told you, I'm gonna be surgical with this thing tonight. Let's let them continue.
It's the truth.
Right.
But whenever you're telling a truth that makes people uncomfortable or a truth that's not popular, they're going to look for a way to attack you either way it go.
I can respect that. I asked you, I said, Derrick, if you were given the opportunity to name this episode, what would you name it? And what did you say?
Reap what you sow.
Why? Why'd you say that?
I think whenever I've talked about these different rules and what have you, some people take from it like, okay, he's promoting perfection. We're going to mess up sometime. And my whole MO has been like, okay, if you're going to mess up, you just got to understand that come with consequences. You reap what you sow. Even whenever I started mentioning God, I gave my life to Christ February 4th, 2020. And people were like, oh, you can't bring God into it. I'm like, the God I serve says you reap what you sow. And I'm no exception. You know, even as I'm saying it, I'm living it too.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes both good and bad. But, you know, I think if we're all aware of that, we can walk according to that instead of thinking we get it out because we had our intentions or what have you. For the time I spent in my patterns and the things that I'm not proud of, I gave myself an out. I gave myself excuses. Well, I felt like this and she did that. And I wasn't operating according to where you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Not with some.
Correct, Derrick. You was operating like a damn woman. That's what you were doing. You heard it out of his own mouth. He sees things. I'm going to show you how I thread this needle. He said he saw things from a woman's point of view. No disrespect to any sisters, but the first thing a woman wants to do when she gets mad is to get payback or try to hurt you some type of way. So this is why I said him and his wife had a lot of problems because, look, now I don't care who gets offended at this. I'm just going to tell the truth because there's science out there and data that backs it up. This is exactly why the LGBTQ community has so many problems. This is on record. Those relationships are the most violent. Now, why am I saying that? You cannot have masculine and feminine. That is imbalanced. That is not the natural order of things. Masculinity and femininity balances each other out. So in this case, where you have Derrick, a man, and Danae, a woman, you're supposed to have a masculine and feminine balance. Out of his own mouth, he has feminine tendencies. This is why his mindset was the way it was towards his wife. Oh, she did this. Let me get back at her. XYZ, this, that, and the third. And no, his wife isn't a saint. I already broke her down early on this channel. Y'all can go back and catch those live streams. But I'm going to point out a lot of stuff that a lot of people probably missed when they went over this. Like I said, I delayed it because there was other stuff going on. But we're going to go ahead and break it down here tonight because by the time this is over, I'm going to make a lot of y'all think. And y'all going to be like, damn, I can't stand what he said. But he's got a point. Let's let it continue.
By your partner, not was sown by the circumstances, and your daddy wasn't there. So if I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to really be real, we got to speak with that at the core of the message.
I respect that. Let's go back. I want to go back to find out who Derrick was. Who was Derrick growing up? Like you said, I hear you just mentioned that you grew up in a single parent home raised by a mother around sisters. What did that look like growing up? And why wasn't your dad present?
So my daddy just got in a lot of trouble. You know, my mama and daddy was in their early 30s, about my age now. So he's from Jamaica. He had got into some trouble, got deported very early on. Actually, when I was 4 years old, but he wasn't in my life.
Thank you so much, Derrick, for telling the truth and being honest about who your father was and where he was from.
Life since probably age 1. So my mama, coming from somewhat of a background that she didn't want us to be a part of, she moved down to Alabama. Me, my 2 sisters, and actually my older brother, but he was so much older, he moved out pretty quickly. And man, I just grew up. It wasn't objectively bad, but the story I created from the dynamic of not only daddy not being there and not having answers, but my mama working 2 to 3 jobs year round, I just felt invisible, you know, because like, again, I was really living with my 2 sisters and they connected to each other a lot better than they did me. Yeah. Everybody loved me, to be real with you. My mama loved me and they loved me. But then when mama get home from work, she need time just to be a human being. She got her own battles. So as she's trying to give herself, she's really stretched thin. And then on top of that, again, she barely connects with me. I'm missing my daddy. So a lot of my childhood, man, was just feeling invisible, feeling somewhat abandoned. Even though objectively that wasn't what was going on, that was a story I had created. And then I acted out to get a lot of attention.
Oh, I'm so glad he's spilling the beans on this because, see, let me go ahead and address what he was talking about. This is why we go against that whole it's okay to recreate broken homes single mothers, okay, out here just having babies by anybody, not being in a marriage, and the same for the dusty dudes that'll sit up there and run off on their kids, like his father did. Let me explain something to you. Now, I want everybody to listen to me, especially young black women and young black men, to understand what I'm about to tell you. Listen very carefully. I don't care how much money you have, how much so-called love or affection you have. When you have an imbalance and the child is missing either parent, there's going to be dysfunction. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't come up and be a decent person, but you're going to face some hardship along the way, okay? That's inevitable. That's inevitable. So here's the thing. In his case, his mother was working, like he said, 3 jobs. A woman wasn't meant to shoulder all the burden of physical labor by herself and raise children. She's supposed to be in a situation where she has a partner and a husband, preferably, to take some of the load off of her. He's supposed to be the workhorse. She's supposed to be the nurturer. So in his situation, when his mother got home tired, she'd been working all day, 3 jobs. She wasn't able to be the nurturer that he needed. And then add to that, his father wasn't there to give him early, proper masculine training. See, by the time this is over, you're going to see how he got to where he is, because he's about to espouse on a lot more regarding his upbringing.
How'd you act out?
School. I was the knucklehead that made it really hard to find a babysitter. You know, they just knew that Bud was my childhood name. Bud gonna act up. Bud don't like to listen. Bud just needed some attention. And Bud knew it. The world is going to stop if I get in trouble, if I talk too much, if I get out my seat, if I do this, that, and that. So I got whoopings and all that stuff. But it was really my way of getting attention. So that was pretty much my childhood. Again, my mama, a single mom. She made everything stretch how they needed to. She taught me basically everything up until I got to 10th grade. And that's when I had my stepdaddy, Mr. Lloyd, rest in peace. He came into the picture. And he gave me kind of that blue collar work ethic thing. You know, we roofing, we fixing cars, we cutting grass. So that's pretty much it, man.
Did you have any sexual experiences at a young age?
No, never before my first, like, losing my virginity at like 16.
About 16. Mm-hmm. So same as me, lost my virginity at 16. When you lost your virginity at 16, what did that teach you as a man? Was that something that your homeboys was encouraging everybody in the neighborhood? What city did you grow up in?
Enterprise, Alabama. Well, between Elba and Enterprise, Alabama.
Enterprise, Alabama.
Shout out to Alabama right now. You know what I'm saying? We repping kind of hard. The Montgomery Mollywop representing.
This was done around the time of the Montgomery brawl, but Derrick, no, let me go ahead and stop you right there. Ain't no we representing. That was foundational Black Americans putting in work. Not to see. I can't wait to address that situation with that Somalian sister, because I'm going to save a lot of that for that broadcast. But I'm going to say this. That day of all different groups accepting credit when we go out here and do the work, that shit is over. So no, it wasn't no we representing. That was not your lineage. Y'all do everything but fight white supremacy over here, the greater majority of you. And I'm talking about the tether class, not all on-code Black immigrants. I'm not saying that. But see, for me, when I hear that, that's similar to this. I want everybody in the chat room to go with this analogy. Bear with me, because we're going to get back to this in a second. Imagine, I've given it before. Imagine being on a team. You're in the championship game. Everybody doing what they got to do to secure the championship. You win. All of a sudden, here come the towel boy or somebody, not even a towel boy, out the stand. Yeah, we did it, guys. No, motherfucker, we didn't do nothing. You didn't get out here and put in no work. No. So we cutting that shit off. I'm just making it known now. Just wait till that next broadcast I got coming up about that situation. We're going to straighten all that out, but let's let it continue.
Enterprise, Alabama.
Yeah. And so at 16, you end up giving up your virginity. What was that like? What did that teach you?
That when a girl say, come see my hair at 1 a.m, it probably ended come see her hair. It was to my next door neighbor, and I don't want to go into detail about it, but honestly, bro, I was just happy to be having sex. I ain't gonna lie to you. It just felt like a rite of passage. You know, because at 15, 16 years old, you still trying to define yourself, be accepted. So this whole time, I wasn't necessarily tripping on sex, but when it came, I wanted to perform. And I went in, you know, but the reality of how I developed my relationship with sex actually started probably with pornography. That was about 10, 11 years old.
Who introduced you to that?
I don't want to say his name, but my homeboy.
It was a homeboy.
Back in Elba, Alabama. He introduced me. Matter of fact, I think they were just introducing computers into the school. I'm old. Just introducing computers. So this is before they had firewall and all that stuff. And man, he told me to go on the website, and I went on the website. And from there, man, I won't say addicted, but I was definitely introduced to something way too early.
What do you remember that doing? Because a lot of people don't understand how pornography shapes the viewpoint of how men see or objectify women.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with, even my sons, you know what I'm saying? They be online, they'll end up something pop up on these game and stuff. And I was like, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
No one ever had that conversation with me as a young man. And I had a family member that had magazines, and I seen them a couple of times when I was like 12, but I just never did get involved in it. So my question to you is, how did that shape, when you look back, hindsight being 2020, how did that shape your viewpoint on women?
Well, what my therapist taught me was that it actually just created a toxic relationship with sex, period. It became kind of an escape, something to immediately distract me, make me feel less rejected if I ever felt that. So, starting there, of course, it rewires your brain, it desensitizes you and stuff like that. It also miseducates you on what real intimacy is. So it took me well into my adulthood, actually until, I was married, to understand that it's not about performance-based, whenever you're having sex with a woman, it's connection-based. So
let me go ahead and add what he's not going to add about this situation. Because I agree with Latirius and Jump Off Jaxn here, oddly enough, about being exposed to pornography at an early age being very harmful, okay? Let me explain why. Should be self-explanatory, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you are a young man or a young woman and you're being introduced to sex for the first time through pornography and you haven't developed your social skills, that damages your social development with the opposite sex. It does, okay? So that's what he isn't saying, but I'm going to make sure I fill in all the gaps that he leaves out. Let's let him get back to it.
I went, even having sex in the earliest years, it was about, the theatrics of what I could perform and so on and so forth, man. But especially if there's serious feelings involved, you may leave a woman feeling like a piece of meat when she can tell you wasn't even there with her.
Right.
So not only that, in the times where I wasn't having sex, again, that was my easy out. Like, okay, I know I got porn, I got this, that, and the other. And I wasn't on there like 4 hours a day or nothing like that. But I developed some nasty habits of when I'm really, really stressed or hurt or grieving or whatever.
Yep.
I can do this and then go to sleep, or I can do this to get my mind. I can break the pattern by doing this. So that was pretty much it, man.
You're in college. You go to college. How did you meet Danae?
Math class. She walked in. Then she had on a black colored button up with black slacks, pretty face, slanted eyes, nice curves. So honestly, it was all physical when I first looked at her. And then I saw her notebook and I saw that she was into music. And I was like, oh, I thought she was like a bottle girl or something like that. You know what I'm saying? No, I was like, I saw the saxophone and stuff like that. So I asked about it. And she had a really soft voice, somewhat of an innocence about her. And we got to talking. I got a number. She didn't immediately answer later on whenever I called. I think I called 3 times. I said, she don't answer this time. She answered on the last ring. And from there, man, we talked through the night. We did all of the stuff that we think about in high school and college, like on the phone overnight. We were inseparable, man, for like that first 2 months. Just again, people looked at me a certain way, and I was misunderstood. But with her, even being goofy and bubbly, like my personality is naturally I'm usually the jokester.
Okay.
So between that and I had an interest that most guys would think is soft. Again, I love Terry McMillan and Eric Jerome Dickey books. I love R&B. I work out to R&B to this day.
So I work
you know what I'm saying?
R&B.
On the way home from football games, I was writing poetry. Coincidentally, Dear Future Wife post, man, back in the day. You can
really?
You can search on Twitter right now, put in hashtag Dear Future Wife and Derrick Jaxn. You'll see from 2010. I was on, so all.
He lost me with that one, fellas. I can't relate to that working out to R&B. I mean, for me, I need some high intensity if I'm going to work out the music. But I don't know how many of y'all can relate to that. I can't.
All of that soft stuff, she didn't judge me for, though. She loved it. She loved my poetry. She wrote poetry. And one time, this is when I like knew it, like, oh, this is the one right here. I told her when I was younger, we loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Didn't know that's how mama was making that money stretch, but I loved it. It was a delicacy to me.
You better talk about it.
She, before practice one day, she was like, I need to see you. I was like, okay, for football practice. And she ran up to me with 2 sandwiches, one with white bread, one with wheat bread, and said, I didn't know which one you was gonna like, but I know you like PB&J.
Really?
I called my mama on the way to practice. I said, Mama, I found the one. Go on, get your dress ready. It's going down. This is at 19 years old, man. So we could joke.
She had them at peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Man, look, a sense of humor. Of course, she was sexy and all that stuff, but she
started off tutoring you, right? She said something about tutoring you.
That was a segue. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to get close to her at first.
Oh, so you used that?
I used it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used it. I need help. Now, I did, but that wasn't the reason why I chose her as my tutor. They had other tutors, you know what I'm saying? One girl, she had like a pimple by her nose and stuff like that. I was cool on that. I want this one right here.
I want this one.
And so, yeah, man, we continued to connect and talk and be inseparable. And you know, it didn't take long at all. I think within like a week and a half, 2 weeks, we were inseparable, holding hands everywhere, went on dates. I ain't even had no money for a date. I ain't had no money to pay for my own food on the date. And then the first night that I asked her, I think it was on Valentine's Day of 2020, I asked her if she would be my girl. We went on a bowling date.
Not 2020.
No, not 2020,
yeah.
shoot. 2009. That year is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
2009, February 14, 2009, I asked her to be my girl after a bowling date. She said yeah. And then I asked her to come with me down to the lake so we could pray over our relationship. It's the first time.
Hold on. At 19, you talking about you praying with
I was actually you probably won't believe this. I was actually an average churchgoer, man, at that time. I was doing my stuff, but.
Salute to the good brother Black Vulture and Reloaded for the Cash App. Oh, and y'all, I already know what a lot of y'all was saying. Y'all be like, oh, hell, it's about to get good. And you right. He finna come up with all the classic BS. And see, this is one thing I can't stand. I can't stand when slime balls, men or women, bring God into their bullshit. No. Don't bring the Most High into your trifling bullshit. Don't do that. I take extreme offense to that, okay? Because, see, I'm going to tell you something about people like that. Have you ever noticed that people that tend to do that, they only reach out to God or talk about God when there's a tragedy in their lives? See, what that means is you really are not a believer and you don't have any real faith. Because if you do, you don't just call out to God or thank God when you're in a tragedy. No, that's supposed to be consistent in your life if you're going to call yourself a believer. I know not everybody is, okay? But for those that are, notice how they only find God. He's not lost, okay, first of all. They only find God when there's a tragedy. Won't y'all listen to what he's about to say next? So, it's going to get good. Y'all ain't heard nothing yet.
I also went down to Mount Olive Baptist Church down in Tuskegee and was front row every single Sunday.
Really?
Yes. I was a devout churchgoer. The year before that, I did a mission trip out in Atlanta ministering to the homeless down by Peachtree. So, she came in. I was still in church, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to pray. I was so scared.
You wanted to pray over y'all relationship.
I didn't know what I was doing. I never felt anything like that. I never felt like I really was in love, because I had a hard time letting people close to me because I experienced a lot of loss. So I could engage. I'm an extrovert when it comes to meeting people and talking, but actually letting somebody in, she was the very first person outside of my family I had done that with. So, man, we prayed by the lake. I led the prayer. And then we was like, all right, God, I need your help because I don't know what I'm doing.
You said you were afraid.
Afraid.
Because you've never allowed yourself to open up like this with a woman before. You said you've experienced loss. When you say that, you're talking about what? Your father not being present? What are the losses that you incurred?
Most of my father, man. And then my grandmother was a tough loss. And I learned really with that, and everybody lost somebody, but I learned with that I'm horrible at grieving. I don't do well with that. And I learned later on in therapy it's because of how I internalized my father's loss. I had so much meaning I put to it as far as like what that means for me. Like, I'm not worth calling. I'm not worth checking on. I'm not worth doing the right thing so you don't have to be taken from me.
Yeah.
And then my mama, she had a thing that she would do from I'd say up to about age 7, where she would tuck me in and say, "Good night, Mr. B," because Bud was my nickname. And then mama got a boyfriend one time and she stopped. And for me, I mean, it was dramatic, I guess, but I said, oh, she don't love me like that anymore, right? So now I grow up and I'm really guarded. I'm really good at just going inward when I have something wrong with me, et cetera, and not letting people get too close. Even girls like, oh, I can smash, or we could do whatever, we could talk, but I'm never going to give you my heart.
Yeah.
But with Danae, none of them guards stayed up. So I was scared because I know like I'm feeling something I've never felt before, and I don't want to mess this up. I know she's too good for me. So like, God, help me become somebody I'm not, because I don't know what I'm doing here.
So
salute to Daryl Bledsoe for the cash out. Now, him saying that he prayed over his relationship because he, you heard what he just stated. I can respect that. I respect that. Okay. I really do. However, let me say this to particularly black men, young black men. If you realize, like he said, and again, keyword, if you realize that you have some type of issues going on stemming from a loss or whatever trauma you experience in your life, same thing for the sisters, but I'm talking to the men. Get yourself some counseling. Don't be ashamed to do that. It's better you work those types of things out before you go trying to enter into an intimate relationship with somebody, because I got news for you. I don't care who you get into a relationship with. If you got some things broken on you on the inside, you're not going to be able to be the person that in that relationship that you need to be. You're not, because you got things broken on the inside of you. Now, everybody got something they're dealing with. But if it's severe to the point that it's affecting your self-esteem, that it makes you doubt what your purpose is going to be as a man, no, you're not ready to date. See, he didn't realize that and nobody told it to him. See, me, any woman that I deal with, woman or women, I have a direct purpose for them. I'm not confused about what I'm going to do. I'm not doubting myself on anything, because if I feel like that, then I don't need to deal with that woman. Even if you tell them that and they get angry about it, it's better you tell them up front than take them through what he took his wife through. Honesty is always the best policy. I tell women all the time, I'd rather piss you off and have you mad to the point that I can cook an egg on your head before I tell you a lie, and then you sit up there, you lied to me, you tricked me. Nah, I don't play them games. A part of manhood is telling the truth, even when it's difficult. Let's let it continue.
So during that time, you wasn't the type to be monogamous, was you? You just said
I didn't have no relationship to be monogamous in. I was doing my thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and so this one, you just said, why'd you want to give it all up for her?
I felt something with her I never felt before, but it was emotionally based. Looking back at it now, it's like, man, I was so unprepared. And for something like that, you don't know how important that role is, you gonna play in somebody's life where you're gonna give them your heart and they're gonna give you theirs.
Yeah.
You hand somebody the keys to your sanity, your physical health, and so many other things. But we were taught later, if you love somebody, you just go be there.
Yep.
And you trial and error.
Yep.
And there's a high price to pay for trial and error, as we both learned.
So as y'all were dating each other in college, what that looked like? Were y'all what grade were you in at that time?
I was a sophomore. Second year, she was a freshman.
All right, so sophomore and freshman, second year, and you were like, this is my woman. Were you exclusive with her during that time?
The first couple of months I was exclusive. I don't know if I ever had the proper boundaries, but for me it was like, of course, don't cheat. Don't go sleep with another girl. But I would say after that honeymoon phase, the first 2 months is when I can remember. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember feeling really rejected by her. And I didn't know what was behind that because, okay, I don't have aggressive energy towards a woman except in intimacy. And so how I would express my affection oftentimes was aggressive. Like I want to pick her up. Yeah. I don't just kiss her. I pin her up against the wall, put my hand around. I'm not trying to get graphic. Yeah. There's context here. So I come up behind her and hug on her, kind of aggressive. But that would make her really, really shut down. And I didn't know what was going on. I felt rejected, like, why you don't want to kiss me? My breath stink or something like that? So we would have, and not only would she shut down, then it would be tension. It would be almost hostile. So again, this wasn't until about a month and a half, 2 months in, where it was like, now it's back-to-back things. Now I come up on the kiss her and she like kind of pushing away. She can't stay far enough away from me. She's kind of mean towards me. And it's kind of a flip side. And I didn't know part of what I was feeling didn't have nothing to do with the relationship. It was much deeper. But I remember like, man, my breath getting short. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I ain't never been so sensitive to rejection because we all get rejected. But this the first time I felt that. And what felt safer was to go out and at least have friendships with other girls. just the conversation felt like receptiveness, like acceptance again. But those loose boundaries turned into no boundaries. So, you know, if we continued to clash and she continued to pull away or what have you, and I'm not getting no answers or whatever, I'm, especially in my prideful state, I'm thinking, man, she got me effed up. So I'm over here doing the right thing and she over here acting like I ain't nothing. So now there's a party tonight or there's a girl on campus and then she got her own dorm room. And that's whenever I started messing around. Which is interesting. Now I realize something. You were trying to be on the straight and narrow, and that aggressive personality that you had, because she told me, well, she told us on the podcast that she had experienced a rape 2 weeks before y'all met. Yeah. So she, and you didn't know nothing about. I didn't know about that till 5 years later. Exactly. I don't know if she wants to speak on it, so I won't go in depth, but there was another instance of rape in that same 30-day span before she met me. So I didn't know to the level or at all that I was dealing with a rape survivor. Even if I knew that, I probably wouldn't have known how exactly to handle it. That, yeah. But certain forms, and we covered this later on in our marriage therapy, but because this was a pattern. This everything that happened that was really painful was really one long repetitive pattern. Right. Me feeling rejected for this, that, and the other, and she handles, you know, becoming okay again a certain way. But I didn't know certain forms of affection that were natural to me just felt scary to her, put her back in a certain space where, you know, certain things had happened. So, yeah. And that's so interesting. It's like, I'm getting understanding. It's like you have this woman who has experienced this huge violation of her body, her soul, her spirit, this brokenness. She meets this guy who she says she just loved the mess. She loved your dirty draws. You're wanting to show your affection. You grabbing her by her neck. You being aggressive physically, you know, from a sexual standpoint. She's getting nervous. She's getting triggered on all levels. Don't even realize that she's been triggered like this. She's closing up rejection to you because you've experienced that growing up. Mom no longer is kissing you and tucking you in bed at night, rejection. So now you're like, well, now I'm finna go self-medicate. I have this history of looking at porn, and now the way I self-medicate is watching this. So now I'm gonna do the outward extension of that. Yeah. Now I'm over here hanging out with girls. One thing leads to another. Now you over here smashing. Now it's triggering her. How did she ever find out when you first cheated on her?
So now, before he gets into describing the cheating part, because this is going to be the part that a lot of women going to need to pay attention to, let me deal with something that he just said. Now, I want to make sure I take the time to teach young black men this, okay? Young brothers, before you get serious with a woman, you need to know this. If you're going to claim her, okay, if this is going to be the one for you, especially going into a marriage, you're supposed to sit down and have them conversations with her in private about if she's experienced any type of traumatic thing or not. Don't let it blindside you. You let her know that, hey, listen, if I'm going to be your protector and your provider, I need to know everything about you. You need to know everything about me. See, this is the adult part that a lot of people skip when they get into these relationships or situationships today. They don't sit down and have real world conversations that adults do. See, these are things you ain't supposed to just, oh, well, I just found out. How is that not something that you're going to ask her? Hell, that should be something that she should ask you. Now, why is that important? Because if you are dealing with some unresolved trauma, you need to get that fixed before you have kids. Reason being, those children are going to depend on you. They don't ask to come into the world. They're going to be hungry, need clothing, need medicine when they're sick. They're going to need to be protected, provided for, no matter what type of thing you got going on. So you need to get your house in order first as a man and as a woman before you bring new life into the world. That's the responsible way to do it. And see, today, one of the biggest problems men and women have in all communities, but I'm just dealing with ours, people are too cowardly to look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? Do I have some things I need to fix before I try to advance or progress to a new phase of life? That's one of the main issues. But I want y'all to listen to what he's about to say here next. Let it continue. Well, we were both triggering each other and didn't know it. Right. I was triggering her with my affection. She was triggering me by pushing away. I didn't just continuously, because I had this weird thing, man, where I would do it and feel guilty. Would you tell? Man, I'm tripping. No, heck no.
Okay,
no. So I would do it and be like, oh man, all right, you messed up, you did your thing. Again, bro, we kids at this point. We 19,
so would the
20
girls
years
be
old.
running back to her?
Nah, they didn't do that either. I don't even know if those particular girls knew we were together.
You walked around holding hands on campus?
Not all of them was on campus. Not all of them was on campus. Yeah, we talking. I'm trying to dig back because this is 15 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
But I remember, I don't know how she knew. I don't think the original one or two or whatever she knew about, but I know we had a falling out because her and her friend, she suspected or something. Her and her friend used to have this thing on Facebook called Honesty Box. And it was where basically you send anonymous messages or whatever. So her and her friend had set up to send me anonymous messages to try to see if I would bite on the bait of another girl trying to flirt with me or something like that. I would have this, and it's again pattern. I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. Now I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. So in this point, I was faithful. Yeah. I'm like, oh, no more girls. I felt terrible. That ain't it. We done made up or something. Like somehow we get to talking and we back in love again. So this Honesty Box message is coming in. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I got a girl. And then I'm hearing ding in the other room. We got a apartment here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I sent another message, ding, went into the room, her inboxes, and I'm like, oh. So we fell out. She suspected me of cheating at that point, but she wasn't right about that.
Yeah.
And then from there, man, it was kind of all downhill because we got into a really bad argument and, all this other stuff.
Well, she said that in the times that she would catch you back in college, she would never tell you anyway. She would go in the closet and cry, and then you'd come and be like, hey, everything cool? And she'd be like, yeah, everything fine.
Well,
she'll say, it's my dad. I'm grieving the loss of my dad.
Yeah, that was a communication style, period. Without cheating, I may say something that offended her. I learned later on in therapy with her that sometimes my facial expressions while I'm listening would trigger her because I think her dad or something like had that going on. So a million things could be wrong with her, but then again, this dynamic of I'm begging for her to tell me what's wrong, and she don't. And I could take rejection maybe 1 or 2 days, but after 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, now I'm starting to check out and detach without actually leaving. So it wasn't just the cheating that she wasn't talking about. She literally, if she had an issue, she held it in until she blew up.
She said that. She said she held something in for like 10 years and then blew up.
A lot of stuff, man. It wasn't just that. It was
And see, this is where you can tell that he did not have any proper manhood training coming up. Because see, brothers, all older brothers in this chat room know what I'm about to say is going to be very true. And young black men need to listen. When a woman gets to acting like that, because all women will do that from time to time. Yes, they will. I don't care which one you're dealing with. They'll all try that whole thing. I'm going to have you try to read my mind. I'm going to hold this or that in. When your woman start acting like that, what you're supposed to do in private, you sit her down and say, listen, I'm your husband, boyfriend, whatever, you're in a committed long-term relationship. My job is to be a problem solver. That's my role as a masculine man. Now, if there's a problem in the relationship that I'm not aware of, being that a relationship takes two people to work that are trying to make it work, if you withhold what the problem is from me, you're stepping in the way of me being the man I'm supposed to be in this relationship. As a man, you're supposed to be the financial and social leader in a relationship. So what you do, you let that woman know that, listen, if you want this relationship to continue, you're going to have to come to me and tell me what's wrong. Don't play mind games talking about reading your mind. If there's something wrong, talk to me. Give me the opportunity to hear you out so that as a man, I can come up with a solution to the problem. Ladies, we can't fix it if we don't know what the hell is wrong. So that's what you get clear, and you let her know that, listen, if you keep this behavior up, this is not in accordance with my program, and I'm going to end the relationship. Because see, you're not going to stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do as a man in a relationship because you want to sit up here and withhold things, especially things that could hurt you or the family, okay? That's how you deal with that. But see, he didn't have that type of manhood training. And someone earlier asked who filed for a divorce. It was Derrick Jackson. He did. He went ahead and stopped playing games with that woman. Said, you know what, let me just go ahead and get a divorce. I think he's going to touch on that, though. Let's let him get back to it.
Constant thing of, communication is key, but you're not communicating. And so I'm over here begging, trying. Because sometimes I'll be doing stuff and I wouldn't know it was bothering her. Like, so for instance, I was kind of a flirt. So I would say, hey, beautiful or whatever to a girl, think nothing of it. But then she would hear that and be like, you call me beautiful. So understandably, she's offended. She's upset. Like, what, you tripping. Like, don't play with me like that. But she don't say anything. So,
okay, now that's just stupid. If he's saying he's flirting with women right in front of his girl, how dumb you got to be not to know that women are territorial and possessive once y'all start putting titles on things? See, it's one thing if it's just somebody you hooking up with. But if this is your main girl, man, and you claiming her, she claiming you, how you dumb? Look, okay, here's where some intelligence and common sense and honesty come into play. He made that dumbass statement talking about he would say, hey, beautiful to other women and then be surprised when she take offense to it. Okay, nigga, if you with her and y'all walking together and she looking at other men, eyeballing them up and down, ooh, look at that daddy right there, or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? Term a woman you describe a man that she finds attractive. I don't know, I'm not a woman. But if she did that in front of you, you would feel some type of way. See, let me tell you one of the things that kind of pisses me off with a lot of goofballs like him. Men and women are different, yes. But there are basic common denominators as far as on a human level. If you don't want her to do it to you, don't do it to her. It's simple as that. That's it. Relationships are not as complicated as people make them out to be. If you want to be together, you respect each other and you carry yourself like you got some damn sense. If you're not going to do that, you're just wasting each other's time. I'm going to let him continue explaining it, though. Let's let him continue.
she wasn't vocal, but she was expressive. Because it ain't like she just didn't talk. She showed that she was upset, but it was with, again, rejection, hostility, name calling, walking off middle of conversation. And that go on for weeks up until I pull away. Then she gets suspicious. One pattern over the next for the next however many years.
So when y'all graduated high school, graduated college, what was the state of y'all relationship? Were y'all still
we had
together?
just broken up. So I found out about her and a gentleman. I think she mentioned on the last podcast.
She said that she was trying to get you jealous or make you jealous about a coworker that she said we created this thing to make it look like this is somebody I was dating to make you jealous, but
we remember that differently. If I pick that cup up and I pour with the contents in it in my mouth and I swallow, did I make it look like I was drinking? So we've always differed on this, by the way. So I'm not trying to just stir nothing up. No. So I had a nonprofit when I was in college. I wanted to tutor and mentor, all this other stuff. So one of the things we did was we held events. I had a Christmas event that was like that previous December toward the end of college. And I had saw her and the gentleman, the young guy, speaking for like an hour. Now, up until this point, Danae had always like tried to kind of be perfect in my eyes. Like I think she thought if she ever showed a flaw, whatever, I would just leave or something like that. So I was like, this is bold, at my event. It's like hundreds of people in there, but I can see her just chatting it up. So from December all the way until we graduated that late May or something like that, I had seen the cars together. I had seen all these different things.
And this is the coworker that she had.
Yeah, coworker, any classmate or something like that. So fast forward, and I'm thinking at this point, first off, we already coordinated where we're going to work after school. We're going to be in the same state, because I'm thinking like, I'm gonna do this. But at this point, I think it was really a lot of what she had been holding in because I had been unfaithful. I had cheated and all this other stuff. I think she never fully expressed herself on how that affected her. So at this point, I think it started bubbling up to where she got really hostile. Like, man, I don't care what you say. So she's out overnight. It's like, I went to sleep at the gas station. I'm like, went to sleep at the gas station? Went out again overnight.
Oh, y'all were staying together?
We were staying together.
Okay.
We had started staying together like, we were shacking up like year two.
So you said, so she left the house and then come back the next morning?
Till like 9, 10 in the morning. And this was unlike her. She was not this type of girl, but she's wearing makeup now. I know she got some hood rat friends from Sonic where she work, and I know she hanging with them, but I'm like, what is she doing? I'm not sure who's involved. So she did that 2 nights in a row. Then one night I came home. I forget where I was at. I wasn't doing, at this point, I wasn't doing anything. I kept going up and down. Came home in the shower. I came in just like me, bro. I'm very affectionate. My number one love language is physical touch. So first thing I do is get my kiss and hug. She's in the shower. I go right up in there, and while she's in the shower, she's wet, and she's like, and I'm like, "What's up, baby?" Kissed her. Came on out, and the phone is on the counter with the messages up. And he's like, "Is he home? Can I slide?" And I'm looking real quick, and I see the name. She jumped out, wet, snatched the phone, and I was like, Oh boy.
All right. Now, let me go ahead and tell you why we call this man a simp. He's no saint, but that what he just described right there, let me tell you something, man. See, this is where having a father is very important. If you're supposed to be in a living arrangement with a woman, y'all done made commitments, and she go out, stay all night, don't check in with you, then just bop back in like nothing happened, bro, that's supposed to be over with right there. Because she's showing you like, yeah, nigga, I'm going to just do whatever I want to do. I'm like, oh, no, hell, you not. You can do whatever you want to do, but you won't do it in a relationship with me, making me look like I'm your bitch. That's not going to happen. I've said it many times on this channel. When the respect leaves from any relationship with a man or a woman, you're supposed to follow that respect. When it leaves, you leave. She would have pulled that. She would have came back to the locks being changed. What you coming back here for? You need to go wherever you spent the night at. But a simp never sees things until the last minute. I want you to listen to how he's about to describe everything else that happened.
Went to the living room. I searched the name on Facebook, saw some stuff, and I was like, that's the guy that she was talking. So long story short, man, that was a big blow up, and we broke up. And then years later, I had heard from some people he was around about what actually took place. And that after we broke up, she had went and stayed the night, and they did whatever they did. And it wasn't until we were married, because we had this thing where, hey, tell every sexual experience you've ever had.
Don't do that right there, gentlemen. Never do this. Don't ever do, well, they did whatever they did. No, you know what happened. Let me tell you why that's important as men. One of the things that separates us from a lot of the ways some women think, some, not all. The reason why that's important for us as men, it's important for us to see and view and deal with the world the way it really is. Now, the most important part of that is not lying to yourself about things that you know happen. See, it's painful for him to say it even now because of his ego. Somebody else fucked my chick. That's what happened. They did whatever they did. No, nigga. See, process it for what it is so you can say, okay, that's what that is. Let me give it to you this way. In case I confuse anybody or anybody say, man, why are you saying that? Let me show you. This will go well with you all the days of your life, anything that you're doing that you want to be successful at. Think about it from a warfare standpoint. You know, I like to go there. In order for you to neutralize or deal with any threat on a battlefield, you have to know exactly what it is and what its capabilities are. Now, if you clearly see there's a tank that you need to deal with on the other side of that battlefield, but you want to use ordnance that's not powerful enough to deal with the tank as if it's something else, like small arms fire, are you going to be successful at neutralizing that threat? No. Apply that same thing when you're dealing with things in life. It might be painful, but face it and accept it and process it for what it is so that you can properly deal with it and move forward. Let's let it continue.
Yep.
Where we were married, and she finally, after he done died a couple months earlier, said what all had actually transpired.
So she admitted to it.
Well, she did. She said, well, she didn't have sex while we were together, but it was afterwards. Me, I'm like, it pales in comparison to what I did. I am not going to get mad. Like, let's just keep it all the way G so we can sweep this away and get on to the next chapter. But we had the direct answers. We broke up. We broke up because of that. Her and whoever, I didn't care. I moved on, did my thing, but we stayed in touch. And when she moved where she moved to, we kind of reconnected sexually.
She said that at that point, well, first of all, let's go back to her personality, which is interesting because I've come to.
One of the things y'all gonna learn the more he talks, that's really all their relationship was supposed to be. These two people were never supposed to be married. You're supposed to realize when the only thing that you're gonna have with somebody is just sex, leave it that. Accept it for what it is. Like, okay, hey, listen, we tried to do the relationship thing. Our chemistry don't work. But if we gonna hook up and do our thing and be honest about it, cool, this is as far as that go. If not, you're playing with yourself. Never try to force a square peg into a round hole in the game of life. Let it continue.
Find out Danae said she used to be a fighter. She used to swing on people. She said somebody came to that job one day. She done fought people. She.
I didn't know that part of her, but I mean, she's spoken of being willing to, but I didn't know that part of her.
Yeah, she said she was known to throw hands, and I was like, really? I was like, she's like, oh yeah.
Got a lot of tricks up her sleeve, a lot of surprises. Box of chocolates, man.
She said she threw hands. And so now y'all moved to y'all's respective cities. What city was that? Was this when you moved to Atlanta?
I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. No, we went to North Carolina first.
Okay.
Well, and then she was in South Carolina.
And y'all were both single during that stage?
Very single.
You doing your own thing, she doing her own thing?
Her own thing.
But then y'all would just smash every now and then?
Every now and then. But then I would say...
I done looked over here in my chat room. I forgot. My chat room is hell. Breeze Omega just said he got the Catcher Freeman boots on. Woo! Shit. Breeze Omega, man, you wrong for that shit, bro. This man done put him in some cat. I ain't gonna lie, man. Yeah, them some fucked up shoes there. See, and look, let me tell you ladies something else too while we talking about the shoes. Sure sign of a fuckboy. Ladies, give me a thumbs up in the chat room if you want to know what a sure sign of a fuckboy is. Cause I'm gonna give you some game right now, and you're gonna be like, damn, when you put it to the test, you be like, GBS was right. Do the ladies want to know what a sure sign of a fuckboy is? Give me a thumbs up if you do. I'm gonna help you out, ladies. Oh yeah. You can get some game for this tonight. Cause when I tell you this, you're gonna think back on it and you're gonna laugh your ass off. You be like, damn, this brother told me that shit. Oh, I'm seeing some thumbs up over here. Okay. Let me go ahead and tell you. These Negroes that wear shoes of any kind with no motherfucking socks, don't do it. You're going to regret it every time. Mark my words. You be like, okay. Put what I said to the test. Niggas that wear shoes like that with no socks, certified fuck niggas, okay? Just think back to the niggas that you dated that wore shoes like that with no socks. Let it continue.
It lasted about a year and a half. So if she needed me, I came and, like, say, for instance, one time, I worked a 9 to 5 at the time. I was at work, but she had felt really ill, and she didn't have no family down there or nothing like that. And I came back, I flew back, and I just drove. It was like a 5-hour drive. I drove down there, and I stayed with her that weekend. So anytime she needed me, you know, she ain't had no furniture, I would help. If she needed to do this, I would help. That was kind of how we, you know what I'm saying, how we did things. But we were still sexually engaging whenever I did come.
Would that be defined in today's standards as a situationship?
That's fair to say.
Or just somebody I'm just smashing? Because a situationship is more so as it's understood that we're exclusive with each other, but we don't have the title. This sounds like more of, I understand you got other people you messing with and vice versa, but you know, we'll hook up.
I would say after the first year, when we kind of really started up with, I'm coming in, I'm operating as a boyfriend, or she.
Oh my God, my first sergeant that showed up. Let me tell you something. This sister right here got jokes. She said, funky foot fuck niggas. Oh, Jesus. Hey, look, we got the label McCoy over here. Yeah. Hey, funky foot fuck niggas. The FLP. Yeah. The FLPN brigade. So, ladies, y'all better watch out for them funky foot fuck niggas now. Because she's the first sergeant. Some chick named Sergeant. She's not lying about that. It's all true. He got a lot more than he gonna disseminate here tonight, though. Boy, my chat room, boy, I keep telling folks, don't ever come over here. Because my chat room will roast the hell out your ass. Let it continue.
Operating as a girlfriend, daily calls and texts and check-ins and stuff like that, but still undefined.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fair to say situationship. Either way, it was a blur line mess.
And when y'all got ready to move to Atlanta, was that a conversation that y'all had that y'all were going to move together?
I got to stop it one more time. Damn it. Project Leroy, you my brother. I got love for you, but I'm going to have to do something dishonorable. I got to steal from you, brother. I'm going to have to borrow that term, situationship. I need that, bro. I got to add that to my lexicon. Y'all know I be coming up with hella different shit over here. Hey, I will use it and give you credit. Situationship. Damn. And Pastor Project Leroy over here, brother. Oh, my God. Let it continue.
First, she was going to come up to where I was at in North Carolina. My whole goal was to get down to Atlanta. My whole life goal was to get down there in driving distance to my mom and them.
Where your mom live in Atlanta?
Alabama. So she's like a four hour drive away. So I never had plans of staying too far away. I always wanted to be close with family. But yeah, we had that conversation. Like at some point, you know, especially as we get back together, we're going to be down in Atlanta together.
So when at the birth of, at what stage and age did the birth of the Derrick Jaxn that we see on social media, when did that emerge?
It kind of started, I would say, about 2012. I can't say social media because now I talk a lot about relationships. I didn't start off with relationships.
What were you talking about?
I was talking about police brutality. I was kind of like one of them online activists.
Oh, really?
My first time going viral, my first time on national television, I went on CNN. I was speaking on behalf of Walter Scott Bush. My first time going viral, it was about Trayvon Martin and Rachel Gentile and those folks.
That's what you was doing?
That was my first thing. That's the first thing I went viral with. So the first like 50 to 100,000 people that was on my page, and I only separated it because I didn't want people on my personal page aggravating.
Pay close attention to what he's about to say next, because see, this is going to tell you a lot about his character. I'm so glad he's being so open with Latarius Whitfield. Some of y'all going to catch it right off the bat, but don't worry, in case you miss it, after he says it, I'm going to point it out. Let him continue.
You know how racist it is.
Yeah.
So I created a separate page where I was talking mostly about that. Occasionally I was sprinkling in relationship stuff because I was always a lover. I always loved love and talking about love. But
that was 2012.
This was 2012, 2011, 2012. When I first went viral, I went to work and I saw like 15,000 people liking the page and so on and so forth. I ain't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But I was just speaking my piece on whatever I felt was true. But then that became too heavy. It was like, it's so dark and it induces this helplessness. And I don't know how people do it now where they get up and talk about that every day. It's not that it's not important. But anyway, I was just like, I kind of want to stick to just the lovey-dovey stuff, man. So I kept posting my poetry and, you know, Dear Future Wifey, you know, and all that stuff. But people, like now I got like 75, 85,000 people are looking at my page. And now what they see is at least relationship conversation.
Did you catch what he said about, I don't see how people talk about that stuff every day? Typical to the class mindset. Jump Off Jaxn, we talk about it every day because it affects our lives, okay? It affects our lives. We got sense enough to know that. Relationships and all that stuff. See, look, I'm going to go ahead and say something. It's going to offend some people. If you need relationship advice from somebody outside of your relationship that's not in either of your immediate families, you got a problem. Most things can be worked out if you pick the proper time and sit down with your significant other and have a conversation. A conversation. That's assuming that both of you have respect for each other. Because if one doesn't respect the other, the communication ain't going to work. It'll all be one-sided. But if both of you have a purpose for being in your relationship or marriage, sit down and talk to each other without everybody else in the business. And it should be understood that whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're working out, you should both have an honor code amongst one another. Be like, okay, after we work this out, especially if it's nothing life-threatening, after we work this out, this don't go outside the walls of our home. Our business ain't other people's business. When you start putting other people in your business, mark my words, your relationship is on borrowed time. Them people don't have to come home and live with you. They're not in the bed with you, okay? Keep your personal business between you and your partner. That's one of the biggest secrets to having a long-term relationship and a successful marriage. Keep other folks out your business that don't need to be in it, as long as it's nothing life-threatening. It's simple. But it's too much like right. Let's let it continue.
And so then they would ask questions. And that's whenever, I don't even know what year that was. That had to be about closing on 2013 sometime. And I wasn't trying to give like this expert point of view. I was just more like big brother. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, this is what it is. I'm not no knight in white shining armor, but this is the truth on what you're talking about. And so they begin curating more of the conversation now, the DMs, the comments and stuff like that. And little by little, they started going viral.
And so you were intentional enough to say, let me leave this other stuff alone and then focus my energy on love and relationships.
Yeah, I honestly, bro, just like everybody else get on social media to post whatever's important to them, that's what I did. The only difference is my voice started resonating, relating to people. And I think I was probably a bit more bold than most.
What was the style? Were you doing it? Was you on the cell phone like you've become known for? Or did you have cameras? Like what were you doing during that time?
It was
you
written at first. It was all written. Everything was written up until 2014, 2015. My first, actually, I was a romance novelist. The first couple of books were Cheating Man's Heart 1 and 2, inspired by, I'm sure it's a huge surprise. And then from there, I wrote poetry because, again, I'm just staying true. Some people were trying to push me into expert land. I'm like, y'all don't know. I just effed up everything. I ain't the one. But then when I got down to Atlanta, this is 2015-ish. Me and her just broke up all over again. People have been stealing a lot of my content. And I was like, enough of that. So I started making videos, Snapchat videos. And then those went even more viral than the written stuff. So that's how that happened. It was on my cell phone. I ain't have none of these beautiful lights and cameras or nothing like that. But I was able to impact a lot of lives, even just with I think it was an Android at that.
You got something against Android?
I'm just saying, everybody be shading.
Now you woke up and chose violence. Now
people are Samsung phobic, so we
have a great
So we have Snapchat to thank for releasing this putrid fuckboy on the world, okay? Snapchat. I always wonder where his ass popped up from because, see, most guys, he just kind of popped up out of nowhere. We're like, who is this bastard just blowing smoke up women's asses like they can do no wrong in life and everything is the man's fault? First of all, if you're a woman that's ever believed that from anybody that has that type of pandering rhetoric, Umar Johnson, Pastor Poppy Dunn, Derrick Jackson, Ace Metaphor, all the rest of them, it's so many I can't even keep up with them. If you're the type of woman that believe that, do you know what kind of extreme narcissist your little ass have to be to think that you don't never do nothing wrong and it's always the man's fault? Dude, that's impossible for something to always be someone else's fault. And any man that sits there and lets you believe that, those are the men that actually hate you. See, let me tell you something. Whether I'm dealing with a woman on a serious or casual level, I'm big on dealing with things as they are. I'm big on being told if I'm wrong, and I'm damn sure gonna tell you if you're wrong. You know why? Because if we operating together, we supposed to be a team. I need to be able to trust the other person on my team. It's supposed to be us against the world, okay? Now, you can't be an effective team member if you think that you don't have no room for improvement and nothing's ever your fault. See, today, be honest with you, America is designed to make women across all races think they can do no wrong ever. Everything is the man's fault. Again, how is that even mathematically possible? Nobody's wrong all the damn time. What it takes, though, for a woman or anybody with that disposition that thinks they're never wrong, what it takes is courage to do self-introspection and see yourself for what you really are, your flaws and all. It's not a bad thing to admit your flaws and look at them for what they are. Because, see, the road to becoming stronger is acknowledging those flaws, working on them so that you can improve. This way, whatever obstacle you face in life or whatever adversaries you face in life, you fix that flaw, they can't use that against you anymore. This makes you a stronger, wiser person. But what do I know? Let's let them continue.
Conversation until you had to go attack Android. Now interview over. I'm sitting.
Triggered you.
Yeah, triggered me. You iPhone people. And so you start doing this content. And so what kind of feedback did you get from your brothers? Like dudes that you know where they like, man, come on, man, what you doing talking about this stuff or this? Like your inner circle, how did they receive it?
My inner circle knows me. They know first off I'm kind of soft. Like I always liked things that most people didn't like. Okay. I watched a little bit of sports, but not big on sports. I always loved love. Whenever we used to freestyle back in the day, I was always on love topics, all that kind of stuff. So
really?
Yeah. But outside of my inner circle, I got a lot of feedback. That really kind of got with the videos, the comments and all that kind of stuff. Oh, man. But it's just like, bro, true is true. Like, again, like you just think yourself, back in the worst of your decisions, whatever they may be, if your female cousin, auntie, mama, sister come and ask you a question about a dude, you're going to keep it straight with them.
100%.
You're not going to tell them, oh, he put his hands on you because you did.
Damn. Black Voltron to name a discovery that the scientists overlooked. He just called this man a simple source. My God. Boy, y'all be killing me. See, sometimes that's why I have to look away from that chat. Boy, y'all hell it. Look, I believe I somehow, it's in our culture to roast the LPA people, okay? But somehow I believe my channel, because I be looking at my chat, man. I'll go back and watch things. Somehow I done drew the most brutal roasting crowd on the internet to my chat room, and I love it. Because y'all know how I get down. Dude, simple sort, man. It's goddamn Black Voltron. Woo! Boy, that shit funny to me, man. Let it continue.
Didn't have the food ready when he got home from work. You gonna say straight like, nah, he put his hands on you, but he probably wouldn't talk out of line to a dude the same size as him. 100%. Cowardly, right? Yep. So that was the perspective. But as people came and piled in, and again, I never branded myself because it wasn't about no brand. I just wanted to do what I was doing full time. So I had to
you
make
wouldn't even
money.
know it at that point. You don't know how this could grow.
That was not a thing whenever I first started.
Right.
It was like maybe two guys. I think one or two guys that was doing it professionally.
Who was doing that professionally?
I want to say Tony Gaskin was one of the ones, and then a brother by the name of Stefan Speaks.
Oh yeah,
they had a thing going on, and I still didn't know their business. So I mean, I didn't know this as a profession. But that was the feedback. But then guys that actually talk to me in real life, we always left the conversation them understanding what I'm saying in full context. So if a woman asks you a question, you're gonna speak to that context. Yep. But of course, it's a larger conversation and both sides of the coin.
And when did you start knowing that? When did it click? This can be monetized. Did it happen from your first booking that happened? Somebody said, hey, we want you to come speak at this women's thing about this. You're like, wow, I can get paid for this. How much I charge? $500? What I charge?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that made you say I could get paid for doing what I love doing?
First off, I published my first book, 2013. It was a romance novel, though. There wasn't no advice, 2014, 2015.
What was that called?
A Cheat Man's Heart.
Okay, so that's when you created a product.
Yeah. But it was tough to sell because I didn't know how to show the value in it because I ain't had no quotes in it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, speaking. But I was deathly afraid of speaking. Really? I got booked for an hour, funny enough, in Mollywop, Montgomery. And I think it was about $400 that I got paid. I had everything up in my mind, I'm going to say it. And I had everything out in 10 minutes. And I had another 50 minutes to go. I was sweating just like I am right now, except I ain't had nothing to say. So I was like, well, speaking probably ain't it. And then I was like, from there, I had to figure out other ways to make money. So, even to this day, my content ain't how I make a living. I have other businesses, but I had to.
Let me give everybody some advice about public speaking too, because that's something I engage in myself. Sometimes that's why my voice be sounding all crazy and stuff sometimes, especially when you speaking for a long period of time. But what he was talking about right there, the problem he ran into, he had everything wrote down and then he flew through his material too fast. Let me tell you something. If you have life experience dealing with a particular subject matter that you've been asked to speak in front of an audience on, you really don't need notes. You know why? Because it's upstairs. It's in your head. So if you're the type of person where you going before an audience and you're doing public speaking and you got to have something, okay, I got to check my notes. Now, it's one thing to have notes to remind you of certain points. But if you can't get through that speaking engagement on that particular issue without having to refer back to some notes, that means you're a damn fraud. You don't know what you're talking about. So I just had to throw that out there. Let's let it continue.
Figure out, how do I do marketing? How do I do Google Analytics and Facebook and YouTube marketing? How do I do these other things? Because I'm not getting no money. At that time, they didn't have no monetization for Facebook and all that stuff.
Nothing at all.
So if you didn't have a product to sell or if you weren't getting brand deals, you ain't making no money.
Facts.
Yeah.
Did you ever get brand deals?
Not like as a long-term thing. I did a couple of things for like the Last OG show and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Nothing
but
long-term.
not like the way it is nowadays where they be like...
I stopped even accepting them because I felt like they would always try to control me. Like my thing is like, I can't be bought. I don't care who like what I'm saying. I don't care the feed. Man, look, I'm going to say the truth. I'm not going to be a sellout. And a lot of times the brands would be like, oh, well, you got to take this video down, especially about the black stuff, pro-black stuff. And I'm like, I'm not taking anything down.
Yep.
If I say I love even black women, if I say I love black women, I'm adoring black women, I'm sorry to those whites and non-blacks that get offended, but this is how I feel. So I stopped doing brand deals, and that's why I really learned business so I could be independent with my voice too.
That's real. And so then what initiated the move to Atlanta? You wanted to get closer to your mom, 4 hours drive, that y'all moved together in solidarity, that you say?
We planned it first. She had got a job down there. By this time, I was a full-time entrepreneur, but then we broke up right before we even went down there. We was some making up and breaking up fools. So we went down there separately. She went to stay where she was at in Dunwoody. I forget where I stayed, Dallas, Georgia, something like that. And yeah, this was just another long single season. We had 3 main tries at relationship. One in college, one right after college in North Carolina, and then the one in Atlanta.
And so when you say the single season, how long? I know it's hard to look back at that time. How long were you single and because y'all still never just stopped dealing with each other ever, right?
No.
So we're not official together, but we still gonna be smashing, meeting up to smash. How long did that season last?
Maybe about a year. I would say this was in, I think it was like the second half of 2015. And then we didn't get together and operate as a couple until Marley was just about here. And that was in 2016, end of 2016. So yeah, she went and did her thing. And from my understanding, not just single like we smashing, but she was on dates with other guys. Nothing wrong with that. And of course I was doing what I was doing.
So is this her comedy when she says, me and the girls, she said, I knew, I like having sex with them. We passing each other, men and women passing each other in the hallways. Is that comedy or for real?
I don't know why she said that because I told her a story about 2 girls passing each other. There's no way in heck I would have her because I know her temper.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I never seen her fight, but I know her temper. She gonna make stuff uncomfortable. No way I would have her around any other woman that I was actually smashing. But there was a situation I told her. So maybe I think as she was talking like us, as everybody who's, sleeping with Derrick. But yeah, there were 2 girls that passed each other up on the staircase. Because I never lied. Like, this is what I'm on. I'm single now. I'm deep in my whole phase. And I'm going to win All-American honors in it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So if you can be 10 toes down and be honest like that, I can't do nothing but respect that. Because women say that that's what they desire. They like for a man to be straight up honest so they'll know how to move accordingly. And so you're telling me that in that phase, you were straight up like, which she said, that it was like that.
There's no perceived relationship. There's none of that. Now, there could have been more etiquette in how I did some of those things.
How? Tell me how you have etiquette.
First off, I thought that was kind of messed up for the girls I had passing each other. I really was in savage mode. And then I think 1 or 2 times the nail would see like some condom wrappers or something like that. And I'm like, even though we're not together, she may be doing her thing. We know our.
I got to stop this bastard right here because see, I try to let it play, but this pisses me off. See, listen, this is where brothers that are players take grievous offense to motherfuckers like this. I got to say it what it is. I got to say it how it need to be said. If you're a true player, you don't have to lie to no women that you deal with, no matter the number. You don't. He clearly lied to his wife on a lot of things. So don't come out here like you trying to be one of us, bro. Don't come out here stepping over into the player realm. No, we don't have to tell lies to women to deal with them. Because couple reasons why men that have multiple options don't lie to women. If you're a true player, number one, the most important, you're lying to yourself. And you could not really accomplish what you did unless you lied. And if your lie is found out, the success or whatever you achieve falls apart. That's number one. Number 2, if you got to lie, you're a coward. It's too complex to keep up with all them different damn lies. That's no way to live. Whatever you're doing, just be honest about it. Only cowards have to lie. So I just had to go ahead and straighten that part out. Let me let this lying bastard continue.
History, and we know the feelings that we got for each other. And especially whenever she got pregnant. We conceived Marley, I think New Year's Eve or what have you, and going into 2016. And, we continued engaging sexually, but she's pregnant now. And then I was still out here doing my thing with whoever, whenever I felt like it, because we were not together. Right. And it was well understood. But again, that's kind of whenever she found out through the videos and stuff like that. Now, how she told me she found out, I'm not sure exactly if this is it, but she went and got a new phone. It was logged into my Google Cloud because we had been logged into each other's email, and that allowed her to see everything. And I'm like, again, I'm kind of freaky. So I was recording a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was just recording a lot of stuff. I like to see it or whatever. I like that better than porn.
That's another reason I know you a damn simp, Derrick. Jump Off Jaxn. I'm going to go and call you by your name. See, whatever a player does, we don't need to record shit and save it for posterity. We got that up in our head, okay? Because see, if you really dealing with women just on a rotating schedule or casual basis, what the fuck do you want to play back anything for? That's not what her purpose is. See, I'm gonna have to do a whole broadcast on this one day about these little faking the funk Negroes like this. Cause look, I'm not saying good, bad, right, or wrong. What I'm saying is rules to everything, okay? You recording shit and saving it, you simp ass nigga, you. If she don't really mean nothing to you like that, what you saving shit for? See, this is a sloppy goofball right here, man. Even condom rappers here, what man? Real players don't move like that, man. See, shit like this get a game of blackout. But you know what? I'm gonna let this goofball continue.
TMI, but
You say you like to see yourself.
I like to see myself. I'm inspired by me in that regard. So she saw all of that, and regardless of how she found it, man, I just was like, it's like, what the F am I thinking? She's pregnant, and she had to see that. Single or not, she's pregnant, and she had to see that.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that she said on the podcast or before, whatever. She's been pregnant by you multiple times and didn't conceive, right?
Yeah. We didn't carry.
Right, it didn't carry. And so when you had Marley, that's the first child?
That was the first time we actually had. We had gotten pregnant prior to that in North Carolina, but she miscarried. And then before that were abortions.
Definitely.
Listen to how this bastard just said that when it came to the abortions. Because see, I covered this on the previous broadcast I did where I broke down his wife's interviews, okay, on this same show. Y'all know how I feel about that. Outside of the 3 reasons, life-threatening pregnancy, incest, somebody forced themselves on you, you're a murderer, okay? Yeah, I'm just going to go and say it like it is. I don't care who it offends. For you to casually just say, yeah, abortions, just like, yeah, just casual conversation, like you talking about sports. I can't have them kinds of motherfuckers around me, men or women. Because see, just like I get on the women for doing that outside of the 3 reasons, I get on any dude that's encouraging a woman to do that. Nah, man, it's not the child's fault because 2 people chose to be irresponsible. Every sane, functioning, normal-minded adult know that anytime we engage in any type of sexual activity, even if it's a condom, birth control, whatever, you know it's a chance that if both of y'all are fertile, that a child could be brought into the world. Adults don't make children pay for their irresponsibility. Not those of us that have a soul attached to us anyway. Because the way I feel about it, any bastard or bitch, and I'm going to use that term just like it is, that'll sit here and go through with that, nobody off your raggedy ass, you here walking around breathing, what make you think that child don't deserve the same chance? Yeah, see, you know what? Let me stop, boy, because if I start going down that road, man, they'll snatch my whole channel, man, if I really say how I really feel about it. Let's let this bastard continue.
You have my condolences, totally. And so what made you decide or y'all decide to give birth to Marley?
Well, earlier in our years, we were just kids and we felt like we're being irresponsible if we bring them in, really thinking of ourselves at that time, not thinking about, the God factor or anything like that. So by the time we got to North Carolina, it did take a toll on her, even those experiences. And, for me, my whole stance was, even though we created this together, it's your body that has to carry it. So whatever you want, I'm on. And in North Carolina, we wanted it, but she miscarried. So when Marley came about, it was like, oh, it's game time if we can actually carry. It really wasn't even much of a discussion. The moment, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, but the moment she let me know, I told her, you ain't got to do this alone. Like, I hope you know I'm all in. And I was. Every doctor's visit, I didn't miss one. I told her she didn't have to work and I was going to take on every bill, and I did. So she didn't work from that point until we divorced, or I filed for divorce. But that was my whole mindset. You
said all in was we're in a relationship at this point? Or
no, when I mean all in, I was still not thinking we could work in a relationship. But you're going to be a present father. I'm absolutely.
Yeah.
Because probably more than I wanted to be a husband, man, I wanted a family. I wanted to be a dad.
Because of what you were lacking growing up.
That was my major pain point.
Yep.
That's backwards, though. Husband, then father. Just like wife, then mother. Okay? See that ass backwards thinking because you went through some type of trauma? Children should never have to pay for that.
don't have my daddy. And I remember vividly asking the questions to my mama. She's trying to answer best she can, but feeling a way when I saw this and then I'm like, one day when I get my baby boy, I'm not going to miss anything. So when she told me that, I really got excited, but I also wanted her to know she had my full support regardless of our relationship status. So every gynecologist, I went to the little classes to teach you how to massage her while she on that Pilates ball.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it's game time. I bought books, but we had not sealed up the relationship exactly. So some time passed, and I think we had a little argument where she was like, if you don't be with me or something like that,
I'm not gonna let you marry your kid.
I'm gonna take the baby off the grid.
Yep.
And it shook me, and I had to talk about that again because my mind is, oh, she would never do something like that.
Yep.
But she was like, oh, I was just upset.
She said, I'm gonna take the baby, move with my mom.
Yeah, but she said, I'll be off the grid where you can never even reach me. And I was like, okay, I never heard that before. But anyway, fast forward, it stuck with me, even though she said, I was just talking, I was just upset, my pregnancy emotions. But I also, whenever she had found all that stuff, the videos and stuff, I was just like, man, you got to tighten up. You can't be on this. I don't like the example I'm about to set. At this point, I'm in my career. I'm talking about family values. So I was like, all right, time to cut the whole phase short, time to lock in. And I made my mind up like I'm going to propose to her. I'm going to give her some time to heal everything or whatever. But New Year's Eve, I planned it all out, started paying for the ring. I'm like, it's game time.
Why? Why'd you decide to marry her? What? Because at that point, was it led because of the pregnancy? Was it led out of true love for this woman? Is it led for, like, what initiated and made you say, this is my world that I'm in. I have this platform where I'm sharing this. I have this child coming, but I want to go ahead and marry this woman.
The platform impact was the least of it. With her in that time, even though she was pregnant, she actually was helping me with work a lot. My business was picking up, going crazy. This is the first time, I think it was the first year I made 7 figures. And I'm in my 20s or whatever. And I'm like, I can trust her.
Yeah.
She was with me when I was broke, whatever. It didn't happen over the years, but at least I know she doesn't want me for my money.
Yep.
And she's carrying my baby while helping me at work. If we can make the relationship work, I want to try. And this time, knowing what I know, because now I'm teaching the masses, I'm like, I know how I need to come. I need to secure her in terms of my intentions. Then that's where the marriage part comes in.
Yep.
So she knows I'm not playing no games. I got now the financial pieces there. So she already ain't working, but before Soft Life was cool, I was like, I don't want her to have to worry about anything financially.
Yep, she said that. She
I'm
said
all
that
in.
Financially, she was good.
Yeah, financially, because, another pain point was I saw my mama struggling. And I always felt like if a man was here, she wouldn't be, how she is, tired all the time and gone all the time. So 2 things I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to be a present father, and I wanted to take some weight off of my lady's shoulders. And from there, I was like, whatever. I think if I come in and I do my part, the rest is going to fall into place. But it don't work like that.
That's right. It don't work like that. It don't just fall into place, you damn jackass, you. See, I heard him say everything regarding when Latirius asked him why did he want to marry her. As a man, you're supposed to have a vision of a legacy for what you want your family to be, how you want to bring up your children. You're supposed to communicate this to the woman that would be your wife and mother your children, okay? You got to sit her down and let her know that, listen now, if I'm choosing you to bear my last name and my children, this is my program. This is what my vision for the future of our family is. Now, either you all the way on board with this, or now's the time to get off the boat now, okay? See, you know what I just said right there? A lot of dudes don't have the balls to sit down and tell a woman that. Because if you listen to him, he's just like, well, whatever she want to do, whatever she want to do. No. Some things you going to have input on, but some things is going to be my way or the highway. You goddamn right I said it like that. Because, see, leadership sets standards and be like, okay, this is the direction that the ship is going. I'm the captain. You the first mate. These children going to be in subjection to us. I'm going to take care of everything as far as provision and protection. But this is the format and the structure of discipline that this family is going to operate in. This is where my vision for us is going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, well, so on and so forth. I don't hear him talking like that because, see, what you're looking at is a big overgrown boy. Yeah, you got muscles and all of that, and women find you attractive. But upstairs, you the equivalent of a peon. And I'm going to go ahead and say something about guys like this. I'm going to be cruel with this because every businessman in here knows this. I'm going to put you up on something. guys like this, oh, you meet in the business world. You'll get chewed up and spit out. Because see, if you're not solid in your convictions as far as your life, you're definitely not going to be solid in what you do business-wise. You're going to make bad decisions there too. So if you're my opponent in any type of business, and you dealing with somebody that thinks like me in the business world, oh, you done, buddy. It's a wrap. That's an easy layup. Because one, I'm not going to underestimate you. I'm going to crush your ass with overwhelming force, whatever I'm trying to do in the business arena. But as far as that wishy-washy stuff, you don't know which direction you're going, oh, yeah. I like them like that. Oh, yeah. See, you know what? Let me leave that alone, boy. I'm about to take y'all to a dark place in the business world. That'll be for another broadcast. Let me let this clown continue.
I see, and I had to learn this in therapy, man. Like, as much as we know we cultivate a version of a woman, she exists outside of us.
Oh, of course.
Well, it's easy to say that,
yeah.
But then when you in it and you know that you're doing this, and this, because it wasn't just financial. If she called me at any time, I don't care. If she wanted me to run to a place and get her some food at 1 or 2 in the morning, it's like whatever. And I'm sitting there billing that into, that's going to produce a certain version of her. But that mindset didn't allow her to experience remaining trust issues with me. Postpartum depression.
Oh, yeah.
All of these different things they ain't got nothing to do with how I'm treating her.
Right.
So without considering that, man, I personalized everything going into even the engagement and on forward, man. So, yeah, that was my thinking. Like, we gonna make this work no matter what, but we still had not properly set the foundation, reset it from all of the years past.
And when you decide to marry her, you made up in your mind, I am done with all these women. This is my wife. I'm going to be an honest man that covers my wife properly.
When I made up to just get engaged with her, I had burnt all the bridges.
Oh, you did?
But the thing was, with me, my boundaries were loose.
Explain. Because
So
people
boundaries
need to understand, I had bad boundaries when I was married. So I just want to hear what you consider a bad boundary.
So I may have a woman that I slept with before, even in our singleness. I may have a woman I have sexual history with before, and I have no problem carrying on small talk. That's one boundary.
Right.
Going out where I knew somebody else was going to be there, that's a loose boundary. It's like, somebody that you had sexual history with is at this place.
And you set up all the things in place for her to be antagonistic and lose respect for you. You don't put that shit in front of your significant other's face. Now, if you gonna do that, you heard him say he was making 7 figures, probably still is, probably a lot more than that. Not gonna count his pockets, not my issue, don't care about that. But if you making that type of money, Derrick, if you were gonna play the game, there's a way to do everything. Again, not condoning it, not saying it's right. I'm just saying there's a way to do everything. By the time you get your money to that point, if that's what you just got to do, you make sure you do that out the country somewhere, man. Don't put that in your wife's face and then think everything gonna be normal, because see, this is what a lot of guys don't get. A lot of guys keep thinking that they just make a certain level of money and provide a woman with a certain type of lifestyle, then you can just do whatever you want and she'll just overlook everything. You's a goddamn fool if you believe that. Women are naturally vengeful creatures. Just because they smile in your face and they like driving nice cars and Birkin bags and all this other bullshit, if you're going to be the top person getting all that, don't you think that all of that is going to make up for her saying, I'm going to get your ass back? Most women, they going to get you back some type of way. It might not be outright cheating. You going to pay for that shit. You got a lot of goofballs that I'll just buy the problem with. No, that's not how women works. That's not how they work. I don't care what podcast you listen to. That is not how they work. They're going to pay your ass back. A lot of goofballs don't get that, though. I'm going to let this let jackass here continue.
There was one situation where a girl that I had some sexual history with, she did some work down in Atlanta, so she was flying in way before she had asked me to like give her some books or something like that. And I kept that commitment to meet up with her and give her books instead of telling her like, or just telling her, no, things have changed since the last time. So these are the types of things that I didn't notice until way later Danae would see or have whatever and have problem with.
Of course.
Because even if a girl is hitting me up saying, D, my mom loves you.
Salute to Project Leroy, brother. That part right there, I got to highlight that part. Young black men, you better pay attention to what Project Leroy just typed in the chat. Women will go out of their way to get men back after they've been publicly embarrassed. That is 1,000% true. Let me tell you something. You want to make an enemy out of a woman? Publicly embarrass her with some bullshit. Go ahead and do that. Especially if it's going to be worse if she's faithful to you and she's trying her best to do right and follow your program. Publicly embarrass her and watch what's coming to you. You ain't got to like it. Don't care who getting their feelings about it. This is life. This is the truth. See, a lot of people live in a fantasy world when it comes to money and how women will respond to certain types of things. But that public embarrassment, man, let me say it this way. For the slow bus people that might be listening to this recorded, if you don't understand and just observe women, how prideful they are in a natural way, and I'm not beating up on you ladies, I'm just speaking facts. Women are naturally prideful creatures. They cannot handle public embarrassment, just like a lot of them can't handle public rejection from a man that they're actually interested in. Okay? So you, that she's decided to trust, you go publicly embarrass her, buddy. Look, the best thing for you to go ahead and just end that relationship or that marriage, because she gonna get your ass. And it's gonna be something that you never in your wildest dreams saw coming. So one thing that he did do right, when he finally stopped lying to himself, he went ahead and filed for divorce. Okay, and we know it's usually the other way around today, but that was the smart thing old Jump Off Jaxn did. He stopped lying to himself. Say, you know what, let me just go ahead and cut this woman loose. Because see, it wasn't gonna get no better. Wasn't gonna get no better. But yeah, let's let him continue.
Your stuff. My colleague, was a fan of yours, and I replied like, "Oh man, thanks. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that. Hope everything is well." Danae sees that at the corner of her eye, or when she goes to my phone and says he's talking to women.
Yep.
So for somebody who hasn't healed, it's triggering all over again. But in my mind, I ain't smashing these women. For any woman that I'm even having a loose boundary with, I'm curving women 10 times more. So on into engagement. That was the first time I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. Because at this point, man, I done got her books. I got a therapist because I'm not getting the version of her I think I'm supposed to get. I'm faithful. I'm provisional. I'm still asking about what we can do to fill up her love tank, but she's hostile. She's closed off. At times, she's emasculating with how she talks. Of course, the sex is not even close to being there. And then she said, well, we need to go to counseling.
That's why I'm glad you went right there. And then what happened in counseling? Because that's where she said she revealed, this is before y'all got married, right? And this is where she revealed I had been raped before, right? In this counseling session, that this happened. When did she mention that she had saw stuff in your phone and all that stuff? Was that in this counseling session?
No, she already had told me in real life she had saw the stuff, but this is where we're going to deep dive through all those things. And at first I was reluctant, I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because it's like, why is the relationship only in trouble when you're unhappy? Why is it that I've been telling you stuff, I'm not getting what I need, I'm paying for personal trainers to help fix your self-esteem so you can get back in shape, I'm paying for the therapist, the books, the podcast, I'm doing everything, rubbing feet, backs, everything, and it's not enough, and I'm hurt by that, but then whenever you feel upset, now you're ready to save the relationship. So I was reluctant at first, I ain't gonna lie, but I'm like, I'm engaged now, we got a little baby, let's do this. Let's go to counseling.
Was already born at this point?
Yeah, Marley's already there. She was there like maybe 8 months old. She was very young. And then the counselor, and this was kind of really made it tough for me to continue on, he immediately went into rescuer mode. Danae is a lot better at accessing her emotions, especially painful emotions, than I ever have been. So me and her together, I'm big and I'm extroverted. I can talk a little bit. She's a soft voice and, just look like she just been held in a basement or something like that. So we going and talking, and immediately she goes in about all the hard things I had done in the previous relationship. So me, ignorant, I never considered all the previous, because I'm like, hold on, in between time we single, you've been dating. Yeah. I'm thinking especially because she got her lick back. Yeah. She got her lick back. And I mean, call me what you want, bro. I still feel to an extent.
See, this is the sad part about what he's saying, okay? She got her lick back. Derrick, what you didn't understand, and sadly you didn't get this before y'all brought a child into the world. No, man, it ain't she got her lick back. After you publicly embarrass her, it was going to be perpetual punishment. This is why, you got to be honest with yourself. Whatever your situation is, relationship, marriage, long-term relationship, when it comes to some cheating, the best thing to do in that situation when you catch that, leave each other alone, because neither person is going to forget it. Women ain't going to forget it, and men damn sure ain't going to forget it, okay? Men damn sure ain't going to forget it. So at this point, him sitting up here, well, you got your lick back. That's not how women operate, bruh. You thinking, okay, now we even. No, that is not how women think. They don't think in terms of even. It's like every time I think about this, I'm going to punish your ass. That's the way most women think when you publicly embarrass them. They're like, motherfucker, every time I think about it, I got something for you. I'm telling you. See, he game goofy, though. This is why we call this dude a simp. And see, again, this is why growing up with a father to instruct you on things is very important. Because he just running around out here game goofy. And see, it's fine if you by yourself. The problem comes in when you start bringing other children into the world with your dysfunctional ass. Then the rest of the society has to pay for that. Because see, these children they got, they're going to grow up and go out here in society. I wish them the best. I hope they turn out to be stable, productive citizens, but they might not be. Then that's our problem. Let's let it continue.
Get your lick back and you even the score.
We even.
I don't want to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you went and one of the guys, and I don't know if she slept with him or nothing like that, but it was one of my homies. She knowingly did that. I did that to make you upset. She went for guitar lessons and learned everything she needed to know in one night. But I was like, okay, well, my chest hurt just like your chest.
Learned everything you need to know in one night.
But I'm like, you wasn't bad for doing that. Anybody would be, first off, on timing. Then secondly, to make me, you know what I'm saying? My chest hurt just like hers did.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So when we in this counseling session, back to here, 2017, she going in and I'm in the present of all the things I've been doing. It's the first time I've come this hard for the relationship ever. And, financial aspect and the security. I got down on one knee. I can't do no more than what I've done. But she talking about me like I'm a dog. And the only thing that exists is all the negatives. I ain't done a single positive, So he not only allowed her to say that, he said, now you got this hard voice with me already. I ain't even said nothing. You don't say a word. Not until y'all come back on another session. So it was tough because I'm like, man, my feelings are obsolete the moment that she talked. And she crying and everything, so I get it. But I'm like, man, this ain't it for somebody who already deals with shame, wounds, abandonment, all this other stuff. We did do like one more session. And in that time, I found out she was texting the personal trainer under a woman's name. She had been searching them on Facebook. She had lied about some other stuff. So after that, bro, and she went and said some things that weren't true in the counseling. I didn't even want to go no more.
You just say, I'm not going.
No, because I felt like, you're not even approaching this genuinely. And at this point, I was questioning if I wanted to go through with the marriage.
That's what I was about to ask you. So y'all still, but you didn't end the engagement.
And see, somebody, Project Leroy said it right. Everything he's talking about, remember what he said earlier in the broadcast? He said that he takes the woman's viewpoint on things. Every other word out of his mouth, I feel. We all have feelings as human beings. That's a natural part of being a human. But as men, we are supposed to rely more on logic and thought than what we feel. The world does not operate off of feelings. It operates off of logic and thought. Like someone said previously in the chat room, I think it was Brother Nightfall Drop, that whole relationship was not salvageable. And we have to have common sense as adults to know when something has run its course. Everything has a season, okay? Everything has a season. I'm not saying don't try to work your situation out if you really want to be together. But key word, though, both people have to want that. When shit starts becoming one-sided on either end of the equation in a relationship, it's over, man. You got to accept that. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to fix it. Nothing. The wisest of us understand that, and we know to say, okay, this has run its course. It's time to move on. So let it continue.
End anything. A big repetitive pattern of I'm pissed, I'm detached, I'm mentally checking out, I'm gonna show up as a worse version of myself, but I ain't letting you go. So that's a little bit of ego, it's a little bit of abandonment wounds, whatever you want to call it. We both didn't let each other go, no matter how much we was detaching.
That's interesting. I wanna stop part one right here because when we come back, I want to talk about when y'all decide to go through with the marriage, and then what happened and what got us here at this point. Listen, make sure you tune in tomorrow for part 2 of this. Thank you so much. You've been very vulnerable, being transparent. I'm over here gauging to see if you finna be lying and all this stuff. And I said, no, he's been authentic. If he ain't been authentic, you a good liar, boy. I teach acting and I'm a director. I'm like, if you lying to me, I just need to go back into my mama womb. Because everything you're saying, you're 10 toes down in what you're saying, and you're being authentic. So thank you for showing up as your authentic self. Tune in tomorrow.
So there you have it. That is part 1 of the interview that Jump Off Jaxn did with Laterrence Whitfield. I may cover part 2 of it because he goes into depth about a lot of more things that need to be taught, but that will be at a later time. We definitely gonna have to get to this situation about that sister and that brick. Okay? Well, I can't even say sister because y'all know how I feel about calling detriments to our community sisters. I will say this. No one is co-signing that Somali woman being hit with a brick. Nobody. However, when you do the things that she was doing and you put yourself in certain environments where you know bullshit like that can happen, you're going to have to take some responsibility for that too. Yes, you are. It's a whole lot that a lot of people ain't really saying. They kind of tap dancing around about it. I think Brother Derrick did break down a lot of things that should have been said, but I'm gonna take it a step further than that. Because see, one of the main things we're gonna get straightened out before we wrap this broadcast up here tonight, so I can let you know what that broadcast is gonna entail. We're gonna put the kibosh on this whole lumping every black person from everywhere in when they do some fucked up shit and blame it on foundational black American freedmen men. That shit is done. That's going to be challenged every time. You're not going to come over here from these countries where it's normalized for you to abuse and beat your women and then try to put that shit on us. Most brothers ain't never finna hit no woman with no damn brick because we been rejected. At best, and I don't even condone this because it's a sucker thing to do, but if you try to holler and you get rejected and you go cursing a woman out, that's some sucker shit. But at the most, that's what you see with our men. Okay? Picking up a brick? Nah, that's tilted shit. But we gonna cover that. We gonna cover that. So I'd like to thank everybody that came over here tonight. Salute to everybody that donated. I hope everybody was able to gain something from this broadcast here tonight. Like I said, I may do a part 2 and have that coming up later on in the week. But I'm gonna close it with this. Beware of being in a simptuationship, okay? Salute to everybody, Black First. Take care of yourselves. I will see you all in future content.